Yeah, we do the 3-2-1 buy down. We do the 2-1 buy down. The way it works is if it's a 3-2-1, that means the first year the rate is lowered by 3%, and then the second year it's lowered by 2%, third year 1%, and then after that it's whatever that rate is. So right now, if the rate's 6.5%, and we're doing a 2-1 buy down, that means the first year that rate, or excuse me, their payment is going to be based off of a 4.5% rate for the first 12 months. And for the second 12 months, for the second year, the rate is going to be a 5.5% interest rate. Okay. And then after the second year, it's going to be 6.5 for the life of the loan. Now, the way that works is you find the difference in savings from the first year, right? 4.5% and 6.5%. You find that difference in savings and you add that up over each month. And then you do the same thing for the second year. Jackson, you got a question?
Yes. What is the seller's responsibility within the 3-2-1 buy? Because my understanding is
right?
That you cannot get it without seller concessions, or how does that exactly work?
Yeah, so it's the difference in that savings. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick for you guys, because I think this might be helpful. It's the difference in savings, Jackson, between the two years. All right, let me see if I can share this.
And what happened? I should also ask, if we promote this and we get this, I mean, I don't tend to like adjustable rate mortgages because a first-time home buyer is not savvy enough to understand how to navigate that well, and those adjustments will come up on them very quickly. And if you go based on what you were discussing at the beginning with the market change, if it changes and continues to, they lose control of this or aren't able to refinance for a better rate in that third year, have we just put them into a situation where they're going to lose their house?
Right. Yeah. So
not really, because you could in contact with them and sell that house. So
right. Well, that's business for me, but I try not to do it dirty. I try to treat people right.
So I love that point, Jackson. Like I love that point because you really have three options when it comes to this, right? Like if you're getting a rate buy down, it's a credit from the seller. So like, can you guys see my screen right here? Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So this is postulating a $450,000 purchase price. So the loan amount's $427,000. We've got a rate of 6.5, and then what each one of these shows is year one, the rate is this, the payment is this, and their savings is this, and then year two, the rate, the savings, and then right here, Jackson, is where you can see they need to get a credit from the seller of $9,732. Okay, so that's how it works. You figure out the savings from the years, and then the seller credits that to the buyer. What happens is that amount of money goes into a separate escrow account, and the payment is still really this payment right here of $2,700. But the buyer only makes this payment the first year, and then the servicing department pulls from this escrow account to make the total payment of that 6.5. So
help me with some math, because I'm trying to figure out what percentage $9,732 divided into 427.5, but I'm getting a 0.0227. What percent? What are we giving? 1%? Is that a 1% concession? 2% concession? 3% concession? What are we talking about?
Yeah, well, like in this case, it would be, what is that, 2.28% that they would need. It's different for each scenario. Yeah, it's different for each scenario because the rates are going to be different, the loan amounts are going to be different. And what I typically say to keep it really easy is 2.5% or 3%. Like that's kind of my go-to right now. Is to keep it simple. We want to go in at like a 3%, asking the seller to cover 3% of closing costs. Now, you can do a couple things with that 3%. You can do the 2-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down like you're seeing here. That's one option. But if you're getting a credit from the seller of 2 to 3%, you can use that funds for the buy down, or you can use that funds to do a permanent buy down. Like to your point, what if we think that maybe like that's a thought that's been thrown around out there. What do we what if values dip and now they don't have enough equity in the property to do the refinance and now they're stuck in that loan, right? So obviously with the 2-1 buy down, they've got 2 years of that rate and it goes to the final rate. So I'm not a big fan of that program, honestly. Like I'm not a really big fan. I like it because it generates conversations with buyers and it allows us to talk about this. But my preference would be the two other options. The first would be a permanent rate buy down where you take that 9,700 and then you apply that to a straight rate buy down. Now you're not going to go from a 6.5 to a 5.5 or to a 4.5. You're going to go from about a 6.5 to maybe a 5.75. Okay, so instead of
but there's a cap on how much it'll drop. Correct? It's like even if you put a bunch of money towards it, you can only buy the rate down. I think 2 points, 1 point, something like that, or 1.5, something like that.
Yeah, you'll run into problems with like what they call like safe harbor or QM, where the fees for the loan are too much. But I really haven't ran into that unless I'm doing like a huge buy down where like the loan amount is really low. Like I had a couple different scenarios where folks from up north were moving down here and we were buying the rate down by like 4 points. You know, we were taking it from like a 6.5 to like a 4.875. And then I ran into some problems where it's like, okay, we can't do that much. That was a little much. You know, we can only take you to like a 5.125. But you can go pretty like I said, I've only ran into it a couple times and it's been like, you know, we were pushing it to the limit. You know, for this scenario, for most people, you're not going to run into that type of scenario.
And the reason I'm asking this is because it seems like most loan companies are pushing this as a way because the affordability factor is out of control. Right? Like you talked about earlier, the values of the properties continue to rise. Interest rates are high. And so how are we going to get new buyers to make a move or to afford to be able to do it? So this was the conversation as to this is the affordable way while interest rates are high. But it really is not that great. Like you just said, it's not that great of a program. So do you have any other than your traditional buy the rate down, any other workarounds or, you know, because at the end of the day, I would imagine that most of us are still working with first time home buyers in the market who, you know, when they could afford it a year ago, they saved up they couldn't afford it 2 years. They saved up their money. They went, you know, they did everything that they were supposed to do. They fixed their credit so it could get better enough. And then the values went up again and the rates went up again. You know, it's this constant moving of the cheese or moving up, you know, switching the rules. And then we get a whole influx of people who say, okay, Kyle, I'm ready now. No, you're not again, because now you can't afford it again. So I'm looking for ways, not for more complaints, but how do we fix it? How do we get more customers in the door that can afford to buy these houses?
Yeah, I mean, and that's been the tough conversation of all year last year. You know what I mean? And I think it's really, I mean, for me, yeah, I don't have a good answer for that. You know, like it's kind of, you know, the prices of the homes are the prices of the homes. You know what I mean? Like the cost of eggs right now at the store, you know, it's like, you know, you're gonna like, I mean, I can get my own chickens and like go hatch my own eggs, but like you kind of have to, and that's kind of like the tough conversations. I guess it's kind of like how I was opening up this conversation is trying to explain to buyers where we're at, trying to explain to buyers where we're going, because you can get super discouraged. Like if you were looking, and I remember it was like, if you were looking in 2021 and then 2022 hit and it was like, you know, you just got demolished because the world changed, you know, the financial market changed. And I don't think we're going to go back there. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to go back here. So now it's like, well, now we have to realistically look at here's where we're at and try to advise them from that point. Try to do things like the temporary buy down or just keeping the cash in your pocket. I am a big fan of keeping the cash in your pocket as long as you can afford the payment. Like I want to make sure if a client's getting in that house, they're comfortable with that payment. But yeah, we're having to have the conversation of, you know, I had a family that was looking and I think they were looking like Wesley Chapel or Temple Terrace and now they're buying a house down in Ruskin. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have to kind of, you know, because even rent, you know what I mean? Even rent is going to make you move where you can afford it. And that's like kind of the conversation has been like, we got to look at it. We got to make a move. We got to be educated. We got to make sure we're comfortable and then kind of go from there. But I wish there was some kind of like magic silver bullet right now for affordability. But I just, you know, there's just no way to like decrease the values of the homes. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to.